Next tonight, we have our Tuesday essay. Jim Fisher, columnist for the Kansas City Times, has some thoughts about donuts and physics.
Morning in St. John, Kansas. Population 1,500 and dwindling. Inside the donut shop, the place for coffee since the other restaurant here closed, folks are talking crops and weather and a little gossip. Breakfast time staples here and in 100 other prairie towns. Where this year's wheat crop was awful, farm loans still hang like swords, and local businesses struggle. Nothing new here, except Jim Hood, the proprietor, wants some country music up front. Watch. Not every donut shop has a radio operated by a laser beam. Welcome to Hood's Haven, where physics and chemistry go right along with the cinnamon rolls and apple fritters. The coffee and donuts are up front, but take a look back here. It's a mad scientist jumble of oscillators, capacitors, transformers, and more.
When I was getting ready to retire, I wanted some place to house my equipment. Somebody suggested the idea of running a donut shop, and I pursued that and found I could buy these donuts already baked. The town needed a place where people could meet and socialize, and it just seemed to work out that by running a donut shop, if I could make enough money to do this, I think there is a wealth of material and old junk appliances that's just being thrown away and wasted that you could build a whole science program out of.
Clearly, Hood isn't quite the rustic he appears. He taught high school science here for 31 years until he retired 2 years ago. He was the 1969 Kansas Teacher of the Year and was named to the Kansas Teachers Hall of Fame just this year.
Main thing I find that when students can see something happen as well as read it out of the book, you can blend those two things together and you can make your theory mean something. Of course, you have to have students that really want to learn. Now, that helps a lot, but part of this making them want to learn is based on motivating them to where they can see that it's something they can be made to understand. If they can add and subtract, multiply and divide, they can learn physics. On that side. Now, liquid nitrogen's temperature is minus 195 Celsius.
Kids who come in learn that an electrical jolt can make a ring jump to the ceiling after it's been briefly dipped in the liquid nitrogen that Hood salvages from Bull Seaman shipping containers. You can see the working of a one-cylinder engine running on fuel made from grain. And even the Tesla coil explains alternating current and how power can be transported long distances.
Space station, for example.
And how a gyroscope works. In a sense, Jim Hood is a throwback, a man who's taken generations of farm and town kids, seen that spark ignite behind their eyes, and found joy in teaching them, seen scores of them leave the mud and dust of central Kansas behind, and carve out careers in a whole new world of science and technology. Evenings, Hood teaches his brand of chemistry to a group of junior college nursing students right here in the donut shop.
Now, we've been talking about water.
Many of these students are working or single mothers who want more than a lifetime of hash house wages, but for whom chemistry, until now, has been a seemingly insurmountable obstacle.
I like to tell my students in chemistry that chemistry is a lot like cooking. You can almost teach a course in chemistry with baking soda, table salt, vinegar, lye, ordinary lye. A complete, thorough understanding of algebra isn't necessarily needed. If they can understand ratio and proportion, I think it can be made to understand basic chemical principles. And I like to think that's what we can do here, is to make it more visible to them. Take it one step at a time until they get each idea in mind, where the student can actually get his hands into it and understand it.
Hood's message is simple, that before Japan, before all the whaling of how we produce 10 lawyers for every engineer, before we abandoned function for form, substance for style, America got where it did by being a nation of tinkerers. People did it first, then figured it out, which is what Jim Hood and his students are still doing in a donut shop.